Dear self, you are a mountain house of power. Think of a home that rests on the uppermost peak of a mountain. It must support itself, as it's out in the middle of nowhere. But it doesn't know it's in the middle of nowhere, because that house has only known what it's known. That house is able to support itself. It provides illumination, warmth, and best of all, sound structure for its inhabitants. But what kind of people would travel to the uppermost peak of a mountain? Not your average person, that's for sure. So in case you got lost in this analogy, the point is, you aren't the average person by a long stretch of the imagination. And that, my dearest self, is truly a blessing. The world needs more powerhouses like you to take on the tasks that few are willing to embark on. That's why you need the image of the mountain house, to remind you you're willing to go where other people fear to tread. To get to that peak, no fear can stop you. No obstacle would be too big, and no task would be insurmountable, because for you, the path is obvious. The way to get ahead, which area to trek, and what you'd need to pack, that's all obvious too. The point is this: when a person is as courageous, with as much fortitude as you have, it's hard to understand the difference that makes in how they live versus others. You can't be like others, and that's a good thing. But thinking you're doing it wrong or that you're too much is the problem. A mountain with tall peaks doesn't think it's too much now, does it? Nope. It recognizes that it provides something the flat land can't: terrain, snow, valleys for safety, and pathways for clean water to travel down to the people living in the valley. The benefits it provides are enormous, but you've got to have the right vantage point to understand it. So, when you see yourself, you'd benefit from a different vantage point so that the best in you shines forth for you. Who cares if it shines forth for others and they get the benefits? If you aren't understanding and experiencing those benefits, then you're at a loss, and that's not okay on my watch. I see the truth in you. I am you, your soul self, that wise part inside that has full access to the purity, truth, and beauty within. I can see how very extraordinary you are, and I'm fully aware that you're here to stand out. You aren't here on earth to blend in, to pretend to be like others, or to hide. You're there to stand tall and proud, like that mountain house, because it has a view from the peak that's not evident from the valley. You know what that translates into? Seeing God's view, a higher vantage point that opens the doorways to see more than others. You aren't coming from a limited viewpoint ever, and unfortunately, self, that's sometimes the problem. You see, understand, and are aware of so very much that you forget. Others are living in that valley. They aren't able to open to the truths that are so obvious to you, which means you get to provide seedlings of ideas for them to consider. Now, if you try a simple approach going forward, you'll begin to discover a positive change that will stop you dead in your tracks with joy. And I surely want you to experience all the joy you're capable of experiencing. And love too while I'm at it. Let's not leave love out. Okay, here's a technique to build a more well-chiseled self-awareness muscle. Bodybuilders have overdeveloped muscles where you can see every definition that an average person just isn't going to maintain. So don't be thinking I'm saying you don't have it. I'm saying let's define it even more. Where, when, and how am I frustrated by what's going on? That's self-awareness. Step 1. I want you to start to ask yourself that question. Where, when, and how am I frustrated by what's going on? Step 2 is defining what's going on and what you perceive ought to be happening instead. I want you to look for the pattern in both sides so you begin to notice immediately you've unknowingly been selling yourself short on your greatest asset, you. Because what's obvious to you on both sides is the point of your purpose: to bring knowledge to others with a loving heart that's courageous enough to allow the truth to be understood. You just aren't fully aware of what you're aware of. because your emotions were getting in the way. Look, I'm not saying having self-awareness about this is going to feel good. It's going to allow you to create positive change because you'll be able to identify a problem. And until now, you misperceived yourself as the problem, instead of realizing you actually had the solution to the problem. So I'm telling you how you can develop greater awareness about the actual problem so you set positive progress in motion. Now just remember, the mountain can only provide avenues for the water to flow. It can't force the people in the valley to drink the water, to protect that water, or to share the water. It just provides an avenue for it to be present. How's that for a brilliant mind like yours to chew on? Aw, self, you're simply amazing. I'm so very proud of you for everything you are and everything you do. Just keep being you, because you're awesome. And so it is. I am your soul self. What does your soul want you to know? Go to ChristyInternational.com and order your soul letter today to find out.